Hello, and welcome to Creating with Colleen, where I will teach you what to do. I may teach you what not to do, but I promise to teach you something. Today I want to show you these little cards that I made. I love giving a card, but I like it to be a little bit of a gift too. So for this one, it says from the garden, and a gift from the garden really is a work of art. And inside I have a pack of seeds, because whoever receives this has a much better chance of growing a garden than I do. We really didn't have much luck. I guess a green thumb out in the yard is not my thing, so we just changed it to a fire pit, and we enjoy it so much more. On this one, we always know somebody who needs a little pick-me-up when they're not feeling well. So for this, I'm going to show you some tips on it also, but it says get well soon, and then inside I have a little cup of soup from Lipton. Not quite the meal they probably wanted me to bring over, but life is busy, so sometimes that will just have to do. So let me show you a few tricks on putting these together. First of all, when I'm making a pattern for any kind of a packet, I like to just start with a piece of copy paper, because there's no sense in messing up all your good cardstock. I also like to work in a half a sheet. So this was 8.5 by 11, and I cut it to 4.25 by 11. Then what I'll do, I'll take whatever I'm putting inside, and I just kind of eye it. I kind of put it in here, and I say, okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. But I really do want this to be an even measurement, so when I'm scoring it on my cardstock, I can easily score it. So I just kind of lay it down, and I've got my grid sheets here, so 1.5 inches looks good. So I can crease that. Now for this, I don't want it to be like this because I need it to tuck in. So I go in probably, when I lay it here, again, I kind of keep it on a mark. I go in about 1/8 of an inch or so, and I say, yeah, that looks pretty good. So I crease it there. So then when I open this, I can simply take a ruler, and I know that I'm going to have a 4.25 by 11, and then I'm going to score it at 1.5 and 6 7/8. I really need that odd measurement because, again, I need to have about 1/8 of an inch or a little more than that tucking inside to hold this shut, kind of like a matchbox matchbook we used to have. So that's how I come up with the actual outside. So I'm going to show you this here. I'm only I'm only using the Big Shot folder on the front here. So I want to show you the easiest way to do that. I'll take my Big Shot, and what I really need is just this front here. So I'll take my folder, and I will put it inside here. My goodness. Now when I'm holding it like this, it's hard to see that score line. So a lot of times I'll just bend it back, and then I can clearly see, because I don't want to go past that score line. So I've got it on here, then I'll open this, and you have two options here. You can, of course, put one plate down and one on the top, but what you really need to be careful about when you're using a Big Shot is that these sides need to be very even when they go through. If you're off a little bit like this and you have a folder in there or you have a framelit, it can actually break the folder or bend the framelit because it's still going to go through, but it's pushing it like this, so it's actually twisting it. Needless to say, that is experience speaking. So when I do my folders, really all I need is the thickness of my plates. So you can actually put a folder on the platform, put your two plates on top, it's no big deal, and then crank her through. And then when I do that, I have just the front of my base here. Okay. Oh, I moved it. Shame on me. Okay, so now what I want to show you here is how I did this part. Because when I'm doing this part, I am actually going to show you how to marker a stamp. Now there's a couple reasons you would do it. If you want to get different colors, then you're going to actually marker with your markers on your stamp, or if I want to omit one of these. So say, for example, I only want this flower pot right here. I have the option. On our markers, you have two lines here. There's a thin line, and that's going to be where the fine tip is. And then you have a fat line. That's going to be your brush end. And that is what I always use when I'm markering my stamps. And you also want to use just the sides because you don't want to ruin those tips. So I'll put a little crumb cake on my pot, some wild wasabi on my stems. And you can really take your time in doing this because it's a water-based ink. So even though it may dry a little bit, I'm going to teach you something real technical to moisten it up again. And then I will just put my little marker here. So if some of that has dried, you can do what we call huffing. Doesn't sound very attractive, but it works. Just like you would fog up a window, that's what you're going to do on here. Do your ink, and your breath actually moistens up the ink that is on there. So that's how I would only get one of my images and get it in different colors. On this one, I didn't feel like going through all that trouble. So what I did here, I actually took the wild wasabi ink and I inked up my entire stamp, just like that. Now I still want those cute little orange flowers, so I took an old blender pen, and you can use a new one too. And since it's just such a small amount, I'm just taking it off. Then all I have to do is come back with this marker and color in my flowers. So at that point, I can huff, and I'm going to stamp my image. So that's what I have for my flowers. Now, I want them to put those little flower pots on there, but I want them to look like they're sitting on a shelf. So I just took a strip of crushed curry and just angled it in, and I am going to put this on the bottom. And see, since my pots are there, I can really kind of see how far up I want to go. So now to put my pots on there, if you've never purchased a pair of paper snips from Stampin' Up, you really need them because they are the best paper cutting scissors there are. They're sharp from the tip all the way down. So instead of cutting each one out individually, that just sounds too tedious, I'm just going straight across. So I cut that, cut my pots at the bottom. And then with these scissors, they are so awesome. I apologize, I'm shaking. That's what you get for having 3 cups of coffee and nothing to eat before you do a video. So I'm cutting these out. But you can see how easy they cut. 1 pot. 2 pots. And then the 3. Now this pot here, if you look on the sample, it actually has a little leaf that looks like it's fallen over. So again, with the tip of my scissors, I'm just going to come in here and I'm just cutting that leaf out. Well, that wasn't quite the tip. You get the point. And then I can take these and simply put them right on my image. Just like that. So there I have the pots. Now in this part, let me show you, it would be nice if I showed you the stamp set, wouldn't I? Again, this stamp set is retiring at the end of the month, and it's called A Gift from the Garden. And it is a beautiful, really, really cute set. And here it has From the Garden of. Well, I already told you I don't have a garden, and I really don't plan on having one, but I want some words up here. So I stamped this, and then I'm just going to do a quick little fussy cut. Just kind of wispy, but I'm cutting that of off. So this is just from the garden. This way it's open to interpretation of someone else's garden. And I'll put that on the top. So that is how I got all of this here. And I'm going to put the measurements on my blog. So if you'd like to go to my blog at creatingwithcolleen.typepad.com, you can see all of that there. So that is that. Now for the little Get Well Soon, this stamp set I loved right from the start. And it's called Get Well Soup. It's just a single wood stamp. It's only $10. And again, unfortunately, it's one you will need all the time because we always know somebody who's feeling under the weather. So what I did here is I just stamped this on here, and then sometimes I just don't want a color, so I'll use my designer paper. So I stamped it on the designer paper, and I am just going to cut on this black edge. And I'm not going to worry about the base because it's already stamped. So I'm coming around here with my awesome paper snips. And to cut this inside out right here, we're going to keep that simple too. So I'm just, again, cutting on the black line because this will be very forgiving. I'm coming across there, and I am coming across here. And that is done. So you could actually whip up a bunch of these right before flu season, and every time you know somebody who gets sick, drop it in the mail and make their day a little better. And then I just put this on here. And again, you can't tell that it was cut there, but it just makes it nice and easy. Now for the heart, I wanted to spruce that up a little bit. So we have another retiring stamp set called Petite Petals. And this also has a coordinating punch that has been reduced. So we have all these cute little flowers. I have used this time and time and time again. So here I just stamped one of the flowers on Daffodil Delight with the Daffodil Delight ink. And I'm going to find me a glue dot on here. And then in place of that heart, I'm just going to put the flower. And then you will just slide a little pack inside here of your soup. And when they're feeling a little bit better, they can have a nice cup of soup and think of you. So these were just a couple little tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you. And again, anything that's a packet you can use. This little packet here had the small M&Ms in them. And I'd like to tell you I don't know what keeps happening because they just keep disappearing. I think we all know what keeps happening, and you know, we all know that chocolate and stamping go together. So occasionally there's a little pack of M&Ms in there, and then it just magically disappears. So thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I hope you will check me out on my blog, and I hope you learned something today. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.